Is that really Publishers Clearinghouse headed your way with a big fat check? Next on Smart Money.
Hi, I'm Julia Anderson with Smart Money, and my co-host Pat Boyle and I decided to talk to an expert about scams because Pat recently had an interaction with a friend of hers that raised this to a big issue. So we've got a guest with us, Ellen Clem, who's with the Consumer Protection Division of the Oregon Attorney General's Office. Thank you, Ellen, for being with us. And I want to turn it over to Pat because she wants to share this personal story.
Yeah, thank you. Ellen, so this week an elderly friend of mine said, "Hey, do you want to meet me at my house at 12:30 because the prize patrol from the Publishers Clearinghouse is going to come and give me a check." And he was very excited about it, and red flag for me immediately. And I did some research and thought and learned that one, the clearinghouse never emails you in advance or calls you in advance to say, "Hey, you're a winner. We're going to be there at, so on the dot." So I did go over to his house and waited out front just in case the scammers showed up. And I sat there for a half hour and nothing. But it made me concerned how many other older people out there might be waiting for a big check from Publishers Clearinghouse. Are you getting many calls about Publisher Clearinghouse scams in Oregon these days?
These days, we're getting calls about everything, unfortunately. We are seeing a significant rise in the number of calls to our consumer hotline related to calls of this nature. Publishers Clearinghouse, you've won an award from perhaps a lottery in a foreign country. These calls, just for whatever reason, don't seem to end. And so one of the best tools we have is tools like your show right here to spread the word, help people learn how to stay safe when they get a call like this that gets them all excited and thinking they've won something fabulous, and then sort of educates them so that we can keep them safe from falling victim to some of these scams, and keep Oregonians keep that money in their pockets.
So, Ellen, I'm wondering if there are certain target groups that scammers like to go after, and it isn't always just older people. Is that right?
That's true. Who was the famous bank robber who, when asked why he was robbing banks, he said something like, "Well, that's where the money is." And that's the exact tactic that the scammers use. They're going after folks who have the money. And if you do a quick Google search, you can easily find out in Oregon, like many other states, that the vast majority of wealth is controlled by older adults. And scammers know this. And so as a result, they tend to target older adults. There's also a number of other factors at play. Older adults many have landlines, and they are listed in the phone book, their full name, oftentimes including their address and their phone number. And that can make it very easy for a scammer to find them and just make a quick and easy phone call saying something like, "You've won the Publishers Clearinghouse Award of the Day." It's very easy.
I have a two-part question. What kind of trends are you seeing, and what vehicle are scammers using the most? Email, text, or telephone?
Well, with respect to trends, we're always seeing the good old-fashioned grandparent scam. That one just never seems to really go away. So those sort of mainstays continue to be problematic for us. But then we also tend to see scams that follow the news. So scams perhaps related to the COVID vaccine. Right now, I anticipate, because of the Hurricane Ida, and the awful news out of the East Coast with the flooding and the deaths that have occurred there, that we might see some fraud related to charitable giving. That's been very popular for some recent disasters as of late. Scammers might call out of the blue and say that they represent the Red Cross, for example. They're asking you to make a donation for victims of the hurricane, and then they steal your money or your credit card number or whatever it may be. So the scammers tend to really follow the news, but then also sort of rely on those oldies but goodies, the ones that they've always had success with, like the grandparent scam.
So is there an uptick? I imagine with a lot more people sitting at home without a lot to do, that a certain small, tiny proportion of them might decide to try scamming as a new way to make money. What are we seeing in terms of the volume of scamming going on, say, a year or two ago compared to 2021?
Well, I don't have exact numbers, but I can just tell you that anecdotally, I have seen an increase in the number of individuals who have received and or fallen victim to especially scams that originate via the phone. As you mentioned, we have been all most of this past 18 months sitting at home, not engaging face to face with our friends and neighbors. And so that phone has really been a lifeline for a lot of us, especially our older adults who might live by themselves and really rely on that as their only form of communication with the outside world. So I am very concerned about the number of phone calls, especially phone calls that target older adults. And we've done a number of things in the state to try to educate our older residents about scams that come through the phone. We have a one pager that's titled Just Hang Up, and the focus is to try to get older adults to understand that it's okay to hang up the phone. That's a new concept even for me. I was brought up in a household where you answered every phone call and you were polite to the person on the other end. So helping individuals understand that if it's a scammer, you should hang up.
At the other end of the age spectrum, scammers also kind of like college kids, don't they?
Yes, and we actually are we're working on maybe issuing an alert aimed at college students. We've heard from some that they can be a target of phishing, and that is, sending an email pretending to be somebody that you're not. So, for example, you might log into your school email account and see an email from someone who you think, oh, perhaps this could be a professor, or perhaps this is somebody from the student aid department. You click on a link, and then a whole host of things can happen from there. Malware could be installed on your computer. They could ask for some personal identification and identifying information. It's very dangerous to click on links like this that you just don't know if they're legitimate or safe, frankly. So we also have another campaign called Do Not Click, where we teach people in that one-page handout how to identify and tell the difference between a legitimate email and a legitimate link versus some of these scammy ones that can cause them problems down the line.
So, Ellen, I've got a landline because I live out in the woods, but I also have a cell phone, a mobile phone these days. And so on my mobile phone, I'm getting or was getting a lot of scammer calls. And what I was doing was identifying the caller. And if they didn't have an ID, or I could see from their number that they weren't local, I would just let it ring and go to voicemail. And if they didn't leave a voicemail for me, I figured it was a scammer. And so then I would go to my settings and block that caller. And I looked the other day at how many calls I've blocked in the last 5 months, and it's tens of, well, not hundreds, but a lot. So that was my easy way to deal with it with my cell phone. But I'm also getting a couple of times a day a call about my auto warranty, which I don't have. And I know that's another scam that is out there. So what are your tips for how to block some of these people and or get rid of them or deal with them? What do you suggest?
Oh my goodness. I suggest exactly what you've been doing, which is don't answer the phone if you don't recognize the number. I try to remind people that there was a time when we didn't have cell phones and we left our homes in the summer or the winter, went on vacation for maybe a weekend, maybe longer, and the world kept turning. We didn't have a cell phone. And so if people needed to reach us, they left us a message on our answering machine, and we returned that message at a later date. And nothing really awful happened in the interim. And so this notion that we need to answer every phone call and be responsive immediately is just We don't need to do that. And I want people to understand that if you get a phone call on your landline or your cell phone and you don't recognize the number, let it go to voicemail. If it is important, they will leave you a message and you can return the call at a later date. That is a very, very, very easy thing to do. I will tell you also, my mom, she lives in a townhouse with lots of stairs. And she just started doing it, frankly, because she got tired of, rushing to the phone, worried about tripping on stairs or tripping over a cat or whatever it may be. So there's lots of other pluses here too to letting that phone call go to your voicemail or your answering machine. So that's one really great, easy tip I think we can all do. The other thing you can do is sign up for the Do Not Call list. And if you haven't done that already, it's fairly easy to do. You can do it on our website, which is OregonConsumer.gov. Again, that URL is OregonConsumer.gov. You can also call our consumer hotline 24 hours a day and be routed to the Federal Trade Commission's Do Not Call list. And our consumer hotline is 1-877-877-9392. Let me repeat that because it's a little confusing because it has those first three numbers twice. It's 1-877-877-9392. And when you call that, one of the first questions is, do you want to be added to the Do Not Call list? And I think you have to press 1 or 2 but that is another great tip to cut down on those phone calls.
Let me ask a quick question. Is this something that you have to do more than once? I heard that sometimes you can be on the Do Not Call list and then you drop off the other end and have to do it again.
People often ask me that. Do I need to sign up again? And I tell them, ideally, no. But if you feel like you're getting a significant number of calls, it doesn't hurt to sign back up. And you can also, by the way, add your cell phone to the Do Not Call list. The trick is you have to call the number from whatever phone, your home or your cell phone, that you want to be added to the Do Not Call list. But you can add a cell phone easily, and I highly, highly recommend that people do that.
I can't believe we've gotten this far without mentioning Facebook. I just wondered how many scams are on Facebook.
Probably too many to count. And I think that's one of the worst things about scams is that people often don't know they've been a victim of a scam until much later, or oftentimes never. And then the other thing that's really difficult about stopping scams and educating people about how to avoid them is that people are often embarrassed to report that they've been a victim of a scam. So it can be a challenge for us at the Department of Justice to come up with numbers of, how many people have fallen victim to this scam, or how prevalent are scams on Facebook, for example, because people just don't often report them. We do have a tool on our website, again, OregonConsumer.gov, where you can report that you've been a victim of a fraud or a scam, or just encountered a fraud or a scam for that matter. It's pretty easy to do. It's a quick form. We just ask for a little bit of information, and that helps us in our efforts, certainly to educate others so they can avoid becoming a victim, but also if there is a role for us to play in prosecuting some of these guys and we're getting some money out of them. So that can be helpful as well.
Any other tips for us?
I will say I've mentioned a lot about our website, OregonConsumer.gov. There's one tool on there that is absolutely fabulous and is probably really the only thing you need. And it's called the 6 Signs That It Is a Scam. And it's something you can easily print out, put it on your refrigerator, put it next to your cell phone, and it'll give you tips like we've talked about here today, phone calls out of the blue. Somebody calls you from Publishers Clearinghouse and says you've won an award. You've never bought anything from Publishers Clearinghouse or interacted with them in any way. So that's sort of contact out of the blue is a big red flag and one of the first signs that it's a scam. There are 6 in total, and they're all on our website at OregonConsumer.gov.
Great. We've been talking with Ellen Clem. She's the Director of Outreach and Education for the Oregon Attorney General's Office. We want to thank you so much, Ellen, for being with us today on Smart Money.
For more information, go to my website at 60andsingle.com.